Next verse is Sneako.
Convert to Islam or my head's chopped off. Which one is
it? Doesn't say that. It doesn't say. You said you read the Quran twice. It doesn't say that.
I can show you 1,000 imams reading the hadiths of the Quran. No, there's three things.
Hadiths are not in the Quran. You clearly haven't read it if you think hadiths are in the Quran. So because you don't know about Islam, let's talk about
Muslim scholars. You're saying Islam doesn't say you convert or you pay the tax or your head gets cut off?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Let's see right here in Quran 9:29. For those that do not believe in Allah, nor comply with what Allah and his messengers have forbidden, nor embrace the religion until they pay the tax, they willingly submit, they must be fully humbled. And then it has this famous next verse, which is an obvious mistake when they misunderstood orally hearing what the scriptures taught, the Bible. The Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah. Christians say the Messiah is the son of Allah. These are baseless assertions. Okay, Jews did not say Ezra is the son of Allah. Christians do say that Jesus is the son of God, but this is some bizarre mistake. And then they have another mistake that we take Jesus and monks and rabbis as lords. I don't know where they got the idea that we think that monks are lords. There's many gods and we worship the monk gods. And that's just one of many passages that will be brought up. So let's hear some more of what Lord Voldemort says to Sneako here.
Your work for, it's been like a couple decades. Well, yes, since I was a kid, I've known about you. Been watching your podcast appearances on Joe Rogan, and now you want me deported from my country. So let's start with that. You challenged me to a debate. I think it's important to start with some of the claims you made. Is the audio okay in here, guys? Can you guys hear?
I hear you loud and clear, Sneako.
And there's no echo. Okay, so you want me deported from America for exercising my First Amendment rights. You're making the face, a shock face. This is what you said. You said deport now, and then Elon Musk, the trillionaire African migrant, into America, who's bringing in tons of H-1B visas. He said, yes, he wants me deported as well.
Well, to be clear, I wasn't making a shock face. I was enjoying my iced tea right here in Texas. So I was gulping it down. No, I did say that, and you know, Elon agreed with me on that viral post of your viral post. And you know, here's where I stand on that. Obviously, I was saying that more rhetorically because we have separation of church and state in the United States. I've read the Quran twice. It is a battle manual about to take over the world.
So you don't actually want me deported from America?
Well, hold on. Can I listen? You want to do 3 minutes and I'll.
So, first of all, both of these sides are kind of correct at this point because the classical liberal principles are the very problems in the West. I've been bitching about this for 15, 20 years. So to hear again, well, the only way we're going to beat Islam is with more classical liberalism. No, the only reason that Islam is having success in the West is classical liberalism, which is itself, as we know now from the Rothschild biographies, a huge technique that they and their big Z buddy interests have pushed because it allowed certain groups to get into power, subversive groups. And then those groups could then allow for and promote the idea of religious liberty, freedom of the press, all these classical liberal principles, which then allowed for the rise of all of these different sects and oligarchs. And I say oligarchs because specifically, if you go back to Plato, even Plato and Socrates noted that when you have democracy, when you have unrestricted license and freedom like that, what tends to happen is you get the rise of a moneyed oligarchical class. And they gain power because they appeal to the broadest number of people with the basest, lowest common denominator desires. Thus, vice is incentivized in that form of governance because it allows the cunning oligarch, the moneyed oligarch, to gain tremendous amounts of power and control by debasing the population, addicting them to various vices, drugs, etc. And then they become sort of putty in the oligarch's hand. And so democracy, as they said accurately, always tends to fall over into tyranny. It's a dialectical cycle, and it's not accidental that the Freemasonic lodges all throughout Europe in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s pushed for the overthrow of throne and altar, church and state. And they did the same thing anywhere they went that Christianity was dominant, whether you're Catholic or Orthodox. The Freemasonic and also Rothschild eventually power structure push for the overthrow of throne and altar so that we could have dominance of Homo economicus. So, and Alex has never told me I can't talk about it. I just talked about it on the 4th hour the other day. This classical liberalism has got to go, dude. This isn't 2007 Ron Paul era when we're trying to get a foothold. People's boomer mind matrix is already broken on this stuff. It's time to go full anti-classical liberalism. You guys all saw my debate with Tim Pool. Same stuff.
3 minutes because we're debating.
No, sure, I want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I mean, here's the deal. Orthodox Islam is expansionist. Orthodox Islam in the Quran promises to take over the world. And we have separation of church and state in this country. And we have people saying every household will be under this. That's not the same as the...
By the way, I did a very interesting hour-long interview yesterday with Owen Schroyer. And I've known Owen for several years. We don't know each other super close. But we had a pretty lengthy discussion of classical liberalism and whether it's deficient to actually save the West. It wasn't a debate, just more of a conversational Q&A. And it was a good chat, so I'll be posting that soon. But I think you'll notice in that conversation, I was kind of trying to maybe edge Owen towards the possibility that classical liberalism itself might be part of the problem. But I think so many people are sort of wedded to the powdered wig man magic dust that they sprayed, that they sprinkled on the Constitution when they were writing it and on the founding documents, that it's almost like giving up the Bible if you're a Christian or something. It's like it's a religious commitment to to these magical powdered wigman documents.
New Testament saying every knee will bow to God when they finally see God. Okay, so my issue is you're jumping around all crazed doing throat slitting motions, saying F you, basically, I take it as America, and saying you will go under this. We're going to take your cities. We're going to dominate you. And I've seen thousands of imams, say all this. And if you don't convert, we're allowed to take your women and use them as slaves and, all the rest of it.
This is not true. By the way, I fell for this a long time ago myself. I thought before I'd really studied Islam that, oh, that's just neocon propaganda. They don't actually say that. No, actually, the Quran says all the above. So what it says is you can smile with your mouth and hate them in your heart. So you pretend to be friendly when you're in the minority. It does actually say this, right? And you can go watch where we've covered this in the past. Sam Shamoon has covered it a million times. It actually does say this. It says that if Christians who are people of the book are willing to pay the jizya, then you can determine if they're able to live in the society. You saw this under the Ottomans with the ethnarchs. When the Orthodox were under the Ottomans, for example, they let them be, but they couldn't proselytize, right? That was under what was it called? The millet system. We covered that. We mentioned that the other day. So the millet system allowed for the Orthodox, for example, to exist. The patriarchs became their ethnarchs, but they had to pay the jizya tax, and they couldn't proselytize. And they also couldn't have churches anywhere except where the Sultan let them have them. So the other thing, too, is that this is also dependent upon the fiqh, as it's called in Islamic legal ruling. It depends upon the school of Islam and how serious the sultans do or don't take it. So you might have some sultans that don't give a shit. They just want to sleep with their harem and their boys or whatever. And then you might have others that are a little more serious about it, and they decide that because the Quran also says the Trinity is idolatry. So if Christians are idolaters, then they no longer fall under the protection of the people of the book. In that situation, the ruling could be, no, they're actually infidels, and thus they must be killed, because that's the rulings of Islam about infidels. So the protection of the people of the book, quote unquote, is actually very flexible, and it really depends upon the Islamic Aqidah or school and the fiqh, which is the legal ruling.
It pisses me off when somebody says, I'm going to plant my flag up your ass and we're going to dominate you. And then there you are in America.
The reason, by the way, so Alex is repeating a lot of stuff that's kind of true. I mean, the Quran does say these things, but Muslims, because they're not actually united, they act like they're one. They're not. There's as many Muslim sects as there are Protestant sects. So what Muslims will do is they'll say, well, look, there's a secular Islamic country or a progressive Islamic country like Assad's Syria or whatever, where you're allowed to have, your religion. You can do what you want, blah, blah, blah. That's because there's a lot of different flavors of Islam. Okay. So the problem is, though, when you get to the Salafi, Saudi Arabia, the Wahhabi types, those take it a lot more seriously. And then you have the Western Israel proxy groups like ISIS and Al Qaeda, etc. Those are the most insane. And then you get to places like Afghanistan. The Taliban has the most insane rules ever. Like, if you go to Afghanistan, you can't wear a cross. You can't look Islamic imams and Taliban people in the eye. You can't go out without permission out of your hotel. I mean, it's crazy. So that's what I'm saying is, like, what you might see in Assad's Syria gave a lot of people the impression of, well, Islam's not that bad. But Assad was an Alawite, so he was a kind of an odd sort of sect adjacent to Shia Islam, adjacent to sort of Neoplatonic stuff. And then you get over to somewhere like, Saudi Arabia, and the laws are very different, you see. So that variance allows Muslims this false pretense when they're propagandizing to Western retards that, no, Islam doesn't say this. You're people of the book. Well, it depends on which Islam is being interpreted in the book, you see.
An American accent saying that, it's even more horrifying to people, and it basically starts a war. So I'd love to see a reformation in Islam like we had in Christianity.
A reformation in Islam? There's already been reformations in Islam. There have been countless ones. In fact, people don't even know this. Islam is actually in what they consider their dark age. Ever since the fall of the Ottomans, the Muslim world has considered themselves to be in a sleeper state. The sleeper must awaken. So they're desperately actually trying to propagandize and convert the West. We all saw within the last couple of years, partly due to a lot of the online debate sphere, online dawah has pretty much died. Now, in terms of Sneako, it turns out one of these Muslim dudes, I forget his name, Orthodox Muslim or something, he's always yapping on Twitter. He messaged me today. He wants me to come on Sneako's channel and to debate him. Now, we know what happened the last time I went on Sneako's channel and debated Sneako's go-to dude. It didn't go well for them, and that guy, Muslim Lantern, pretty much has disappeared into obscurity. So that debate seems to have ended his career, perhaps. I haven't heard hide nor hair of him since that. We know the Fresh and Fit debate that got like 4 million views a couple years ago with me and Shamoon. That had a massive blow to online dawah. If you remember, there was like 50,000 comments. All of the comments were like, Islam is done, dude. So the internet actually was devastating to online dawah, but they're still trying to push it, and they're doing it through these paid goober tard influencer people. This is what we've been saying for so long. And this is what I was trying to tell Nick Fuentes as well for like the last 2 or 3 years. So all of the issues that Nick disagreed with me about, he's now come back around and is like admitting my points. So like, I've been trying to tell you, dog, like all the stuff, whether it was, this or that weirdo, stay away from Sneako, and then they're going to be friends. Then turns out Sneako's a good, yeah, I told you, dude. Oh, well, defend the Vatican. Well, it turns out the Vatican does seem to be pretty Judaized. Yeah, that's all the stuff I've been trying to say, man. If people would just listen instead of getting, reaction minded and just reacting to people instead of listening to what's being argued, I think we might have a little more effectiveness. Not that we're not having effectiveness. I think the right wing is in many ways having a lot of effect. but it's really just limited, I think, to the internet sphere. We're not having much effect outside of that.
Back when some of the Catholics were trying to force people, to follow what they said, or they would burn them at the stake. Okay, so Islam needs a reformation. I don't want to be at war with Islam, but there.
I always have to correct this idea too, because this is just a Protestant line of reasoning. The Inquisition, even according to secular scholars, I think Henry Common is one of these that wrote a book, another one. They at maximum burned like 800 to a few thousand people. And a lot of that was actually not the papal Inquisition. And you guys know I'm not any fan of the papacy, but this is exaggerated, especially by Protestants and Gubertard fake apologists. They would make up these stories that the Inquisition burned millions of witches. There weren't millions of witches. There were hardly millions of people to even find covens of witches. There weren't millions of witches in Europe. That's crazy. It's retarded. And it was actually most of the, quote, burning and the auto da fe ceremonies were done by Isabella's Inquisition. So it's actually the Spanish Inquisition, which was not run by the papacy, that did most of that. And most heretics, by the way, or at that time, heretics were considered social revolutionaries because they actually were. Most of them were not burned to the stake. They might be in prison. They might be told to stop teaching. They might be exiled, etc. And all of those types of chastisements or punishments actually go back to the patristic period. There was already rulings against these kinds of groups, not under Constantine, but under Theodosius. So Constantine, for example, proclaimed Christianity a legal, tolerated religion with the Edict of Tolerance. But by the time of Theodosius, he actually starts making Christian laws. And then by the time of St. Justinian, the emperor, we get the Code of Justinian, which is very Christian in terms of most of the principles. And Byzantium followed suit. They had pretty strict penalties against open preaching of heresy, not because, oh, they're just mean and dogmatist. No, if you read, for example, Malcolm Lambert's book, Medieval Heresy, he's an Anglican scholar. He wrote a giant book that we covered many years ago about the history of medieval sects and heretics. At that time, they were also political revolutionaries. For example, in France, the I just went blank on that cult group. The medieval Gnostics in France, the crazy ones, they took over like 6 castles in France. So they were like setting up like armaments and fortifying themselves. Starts with a C. I'm going blank on this. The not Albigensians, not the Cathars. Excuse me. The Cathari eventually took like 6 castles in medieval France. So medieval kings, whether you think they're good or bad, at least they correctly understood that heresies weren't just ideas. They were also potential political revolutions.
50 plus Islamic countries. Most of them are 99% Muslim. There's only a few Muslim countries where Christians can live in peace. Islam is expansionist. That's why I'm against Israel. It's expansionist. It is elitist.
See, this whole idea that Protestantism has that church and religion should be, quote, separate from the state ends up in divorce from the state. And then you get the idea that we'll have your private religion, but the state will be, quote, secular. And as I said to Owen in our discussion, the problem with that is that what grounds the secular laws and the secular ethics is groundless. And so it ends up being social contract, consent of the people. If your ethics and your civic legal structure is then based on social contract or the will of the people, then the will of the people can take it all away. Duh, right? I mean, what happens when the majority of the people or the representative, the representatives, if it's not a democracy, if it's a republic, well, what happens when they start to vote to take away all those rights? Well, you don't have them anymore because they come from the bottom up. This is why you can't have a neutral state. There's no such thing as neutrality in the secular state sphere, even though modern enlightenment, progressive, everything is built on this idea of neutrality in the civic sphere.
Greater Israel. It sees everybody else as subhuman, at least Ben Gvir and the leadership of Israel. And so I am opposed to Israel.
By the way, I'm not advocating for Sneako. Sneako's an absolute goober. I'm just saying that this is always a flaw in the Protestant approach to debating Islam.
Expansionist supremacist activities. I'm against Islam's expansionist supremacist activities, and I'm against the Chi-Com expansionist activities. I'm against.
But the problem, Alex, is that every power structure and every power group has to in some way be either defensive or in some way expansive. So there is an empire whether we like it or not. I heard Fuentes basically saying this exact same thing I was saying. So I'm not advocating for the pushing of Americanism everywhere, but I'm saying it's not accidental that if you go back into Christian history, it's the Byzantine Empire, it's the Holy Roman Empire, it's the Russian Empire, right? The Christian state has to, of necessity, also have some degree of universality, and that's what provides ultimately a strength for the civilization. That's why Byzantium is the longest, most successful civilization in world history. And then it falls, of course, as a result of not just Islam, but also principles like usury. They debase their money, etc. All of those things contributed to the fall of Byzantium.
The left's pedophilic Hollywood, expansionist dominance, imperial operations. I don't want America to be imperial. I've been against all these expansionist wars. Even though I didn't like Maduro, I said I think we'll probably just put communists back in. Now they want to overthrow Cuba and put the communists back in. So I'm against all of that. I'm against imperialism, not from some leftist angle, but from George Washington's angle of not being involved in foreign entanglements. So that's where I stand.
I agree with that. As long as it's like, but I don't want to be involved in David Rockefeller or Lord Rothschild's or Bibi Netanyahu's foreign entanglements, right? There's going to be foreign entanglements probably. I don't think you can avoid that. I don't want it to be for the Fortune 500, but again, like it's just such a naive Enlightenment presupposition to think that, oh, well, we just will stay apart from the rest of the world. For example, how are you going to do that when Islam is expanding into your country? I'm not trying to be pro neocon and say, oh, we got to have, preemptive strikes. I don't think any of that's necessary because a lot of these countries, they wouldn't even be able to do anything without Western aid and support. So number one, we could just cut off all the money to these insane countries, and that includes the Islamic countries, includes Iran. It's like billions of dollars every year to Iran as well.
On all this, and when somebody declares we're coming for you and we're going to dominate you, I said to Piers Morgan back in 2013, it became a national story whenever he said we're going to take your guns, and I said if you do, 1776 will commence again. So anybody trying to take my guns, anybody saying I'm going to convert to Islam in all your homes, anybody telling me that they're going to stick their flag up my ass, I'm going to tell them if you want to fight, you better believe you got one. Go ahead.
All right, you said a lot. I mean, what flag? The difference between Israel as an expansionist state is that that's a actual country. I have allegiance to America. This is my country. Said many things, and let's stick to this original claim. You said deport now. Where am I going to go if I be deported?
Well, I mean, there's 50 plus Muslim countries. You could go to Iran, you go to.
Yeah, like why doesn't he go to an Islamic country? Well, that's because they have a mandate to engage in jihad, and in Islamic theology and in the Quran, this is another word game they play. And by the way, they do have a principle of taqiyya that they can deceive people that are against Islam, right? That's part of the principle. So the reason that he can't and doesn't want to just go to an Islamic country is not just, well, obviously there are a lot of shitholes, but also because he has a mandate to engage in jihad, which is, it's like three-tiered, right? There's the jihad in your personal life. There's and then there's like the material, actual jihad. And they'll say stuff like, well, but that's only in like extreme cases. That's not true.
Dan, you could go to Egypt, you could go to Afghanistan, you go to any of those shitholes. You could go to Pakistan, they're marrying 9-year-olds. You could
child marriage here in America, but how would I be deported to a country that
you could go to Medina? You go to Medina and 30 black men.
Right, but that's not deportation. That's immigration, like Elon Musk coming over here. How would I be deported to a country that I'm not from? I was born here in New York City.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep in mind that Sneako is a total fake because he literally changes with the wind. Whatever the trend is, he's that. And that's why I said a long time ago that he's bad news. I'll show you, for example, if you find old clips, he was groomed originally when he was like teenager, like 16, 17, and when he was first streaming. He was like all about MAGA, right? So they chose him as like a brown MAGA dude. And here he is, even when Trump won. Oh yeah, I'm all about Trump. Here he is celebrating, cheering when Trump won the election. Here he is standing next to Trump, making that stupid Andrew Tate pose where he does the mudra where you're trying to manifest your shit. Just stupid shit like this, right? This guy's a retard, man. And I've said the whole time he's a retard. Like I've said it day one. Like, it's not obvious. And so he went from early MAGA dude, then he was a big red pill dude. And then, if you remember, Rollo Tomasi did a bunch of streams critiquing his red pill phase. So he was that for a while. Then he went with Islam because he was hanging out with the Tates. So he's literally just whatever the trend is.
Sneako, my point was rhetorical, saying that we need to deport that ideology and we need to not
you
submit
don't
to
deport me. You want to deport Islam.
Well, actually, Sneako has a point here, because this would undermine the classical liberal ethos, which is exactly what I've been saying. Because it ends up being a situation where it's not, you can't just separate your worldview into compartments. If your worldview is classical liberalism, then that's not compatible with traditional Christianity, because traditional Christianity also has a doctrine of the state. It speaks to the state. And that's why in, classical Byzantine or European civilization, when it was, quote, Christian, they had rules against public heretical teaching, not just because of being dogmatic, mean people, but because of subversion. You can't let a zillion infinity Muslims into the country and not think that it's going to subvert the country. You can't let a zillion APAC dollars into the country and not think it's going to subvert the country. That's precisely why, and that shows you that classical liberalism is absolutely impotent to actually fend off those things.
What I'm saying is that jihad and dominance of our culture needs to be opposed at every level. I obviously didn't mean literally put you in a cannon like a clown and shoot you, over to a Muslim country. And I said I meant it as an allegory. You also said that I was trying to get vigilantes to kill you. I said my snake or black widow analogy was not talking about violence, but why I have a phobia of pouring gasoline on myself and lighting myself on fire, or jumping off a 5,000-foot cliff, or playing with black widows in my hand, or playing with rattlesnakes. You have those phobias because it's a natural thing. It's something your brain recognizes.
So I scare you?
Yeah. So again, imagine, and I'm not saying China is a good country, but imagine all the other countries. Do you think China would allow zillions of Muslims to be imported? Would they allow zillions of evangelicals to be imported? No. Is it just because they're atheist? Well, that might be part of it, but it's also because they know that it would significantly subvert the existing political order. So regardless of whether the political order is good or bad, it's in the interest of the political order to not have massive amounts of foreign people suddenly be there, because it's obviously demographic warfare. And again, classical liberalism is impotent to actually fight this.
Absolutely scared of giant hordes of third world populations that keep women as slaves and
Well, you
get
said me. You
9-year-olds
said you want
pregnant.
to deport him now. You're scared of me individually?
I am scared of being a cuck and laying down to people that declare their superiority and their supremacy over me. And you are following Orthodox Islam and are openly announcing, we will dominate you, we will control you. So you follow the Quran. You believe?
Well, let's talk about the clip I said.
Pay the Jesus, pay the
Let's
tax.
Let's be specific
or
about what I
my
said.
head chopped off. Which way is it? Is it to the Quran? I pay the tax, I convert to Islam, or my head's chopped off. Which one is
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say. You said you read the Quran twice. It doesn't.
No, it does say that. Alex is actually correct about this. Sneako's lying.
I can show you 1,000 imams reading the hadiths of the Quran. No, there's three things.
Hadiths are not in the Quran. You clearly haven't read it if you think hadiths are in the Quran. So because you don't know about Islam, let's talk
Muslim
about
scholars. You're saying Islam?
So Sneako was being dishonest there, and it might have been that he misheard because Alex was talking fast. Alex knows, because I've heard him say it a bunch, that hadiths are not in the Quran. Hadiths are the traditions, and they're graded according to, strong and weak. And the hadiths are even funnier than the Quran, even the strong ones, because they got all kinds of just crazy, stupid shit. And the best way to refute Islam outside of like 9-year-old brides is the hadiths, because you have, for example, Satan farting to distract you from your prayers. So, again, I don't know how do demons have like, gut biome that gets fucked up? I don't know. But let's look at a couple of the Quran texts. We saw, for example, 9, 29, and 30 that talk about you must submit to the jizya, Let's see. I've got a bunch of them here. So let's see. 9:123. I'll make this quick. Nine 123 says, "O disbelievers, O believers, fight the disbelievers around you, and let them find firmness in you. Thus, Allah is with those that are mindful of Him." So notice right there, if the ruling ends up being that you're a disbeliever, and remember, being a Trinitarian means that you are an idolater, so you could very easily fall into not being protected as, I quote, people of the book. They can, right there, absolutely fight with you. So let's see, let's do 5:33. "The penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His messenger or spread mischief in the land is death, crucifixion, cutting off hands, exile from the land. The penalty is a disgrace for them, and they will suffer tremendous punishment in the hereafter." So again, there's like 10 more of these just in the Quran. This is not weak hadiths. This is straight up Quran. All right, let's go to 8:12. "Remember, O Prophet, when the Lord revealed to the angels, 'I am with you, make the believers stand firm. I will cast horror into the hearts of the disbelievers, strike their necks, and strike at their fingertips.'" So there you have, if you are following under the ruling of being a, quote, disbeliever, which could easily be a Trinitarian or a believer in the deity of Christ. This is why historically Islam has operated this way. Now, they don't always do it because they don't always have the political power to do so. Let's see, 2:256, I think. "Let there be no compulsion in religion." So notice that, by the way, the Quran contradicts itself all the time, because here it says, "Oh, let there be no compulsion," but then it says, "Whoever renounces the false gods, you are protected." But notice the compulsion is only for those that renounce the false gods. So you have to renounce the Trinity, the incarnation, whatever, or else you fall under this ban conceivably. And again, the fact that Islam doesn't always apply this, it doesn't mean that Islam doesn't actually say this or teach this. Let's see, 2:191. "Kill them whenever you come upon them. Drive them out of the places where you found them. Persecution is far worse than killing. Do not fight them, however, at the mosque unless they attack you there. If they do, then fight them. This is the reward of the disbelievers." So again, this is an Arab warlord religion. This is not the one true religion. Nothing in this religion matches up to what came before. We all have heard the Islamic dilemma a million times over. There's multiple more texts, but you get the idea. So let's go back to this.
Does it say you convert or you pay the tax or your head gets cut off?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So let's talk about what I...
You notice right there, Sneako is lying, because many of these passages do say that. So Alex is not incorrect, but Alex, and I think he might later on bring up the actual text, but notice that Sneako is not actually going to any of the texts. Alex should have listed a bunch of texts at this point or quoted some of them. And that would have been, I think, a better rhetorical technique.
Because you don't know about Islam.
Hey, everybody, take clips of this and then show 50
Sure,
emails saying it, and then show the hadiths and then
Okay.
show the Quran.
Alex, maybe you've seen a lot of Facebook posts and it seems like you're getting a lot of boomer propaganda. Let's be specific about what did I say? Because you just made up a bunch of things I didn't say. You said I'm coming to...
Yeah, it's not boomer propaganda. Notice Sneako never actually wants to go into the Islamic text. This is the same guy last year who said that the Council of Nicaea put the 13 Gospels into the Bible, or so whatever stupid shit he said. He has no idea what he's talking about.
A flag up your butt. I'm here to dominate. I didn't say any of that. What did I say? Like
You said we're going to take over every house.
I didn't
We're
say
going
that.
to take
That's
over the
not true.
cities.
I said, in Christian language, something similar. I don't know what type of Christianity you are. Every knee will bow, every tongue confess. I said, inshallah, the whole world becomes Muslim. I believe I have the truth. I want goodness for the world. I want you to have the truth. Christians want other people to become Christian too. Why should I hide? Why should I act like I don't want goodness for other people? Of course, inshallah, do you know what this means?
Yeah, but Christians don't believe that you can engage in deception against those who are outside the religion, or that you gain political power by lying and pretending to be friendly. And Christians don't believe that you have a right to chop the heads off of the disbelievers. There would only be certain situations in a Christian state where there could be, as history of the church has shown, sort of rulings like this.
If you know, you read the Quran.
God's will.
What is inshallah? God willing. So it's not up to me. It's not up to any force. It's not up to anybody forcing you to.
So here he's being deceptive, because just because it says Allah wills it, he's acting like, well, that's just what Allah determines. It's not about me. No, Allah wills it and wills his people to engage in this kind of warfare. So he's being dishonest.
Converting you with the sword and threatening.
Oh, yeah, Islam never does that. Hey, Muslims always bitch about the Crusades. Were the Crusades a response to 700 years of Muslim invasion? Did the Muslims take Spain and put over 2 million women into slavery?
Well, if you want to talk about Christian expansion, we can too. But in the Quran, it's...
Now, wait a minute. So Sneako just deflected away from the question, which was a challenge about whether Islam has this principle. And then Sneako did a two-quote way to say, well, Christians have expansionist principles. Well, that's not the point. Even if we do, you haven't shown that that's inconsistent. Maybe it is, but you haven't shown that yet. Furthermore, the challenge was because you said none of that was true about Islam. And then Alex gave 2 examples in history, and Sneako was like, well, but you guys did it too. Well, then, so now you're admitting that you do have expansionist positions, which refutes your claim 2 seconds ago that you don't.
Says that you don't force anybody to convert. People willingly accept Islam. Nobody is trying to spread it by the sword. I want people to...
No, that's totally not true. And there have been countless forced conversions of Islam in history. So Sneako's just straight lying right here.
Hear the truth and accept it. That's why I say, inshallah.
Convert, pay the tax, or have your head cut off. Convert, pay the tax, or have your head cut off.
You don't know about Islam, so you might just... You should avoid...
By the way, Muslims do this all the time, where they act like because you get some minuscule point wrong, or you mispronounce an Arabic term, oh, he does not know Islam. He doesn't know about Islam. Well, even if I didn't know about Islam, that would have nothing to do with whether the argument I just made was true or false. Even if I mispronounced an Arabic term, that wouldn't have anything to do with whether the argument is true or false. So these are all like just smoke and mirror deflections. But Muslims are always doing this because Muslims have no clue about fallacies. We've been debating Muslims for 10 years. They're the dumbest people on the internet. They have no idea. Like, so what if it's a fallacy? You mean you saw, remember when we did the call-in where we had 6 hours of Muslims calling in, and the whole experiment was to just see if we could get one of them to restate the argument. And it was literally the breakfast thing, right? How would you feel if you hadn't had breakfast? But I had breakfast. But I had breakfast. Yeah, but I know you don't believe the Islamic dilemma argument, but could you just at least restate it? And not one of them within 6 hours could even restate an argument. So these are very slow people.
This stuff, and let's talk about what I said.
You're just hoping people don't know. I do know. You didn't think I knew what inshallah meant. I know what all that means.
Yeah, but you said that I'm trying to force it and stick a flag up your butt. I didn't say any of this stuff.
Dude, you were going, fuck you to the camera. You were sitting there.
You want to know why I said this?
Whose throat you going to slit? You're like, fuck you, we're taking over. Every house.
I didn't say that.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
Like with the Muslim invaders
We're taking over
on their Zodiac boats with Soros.
What's the Muslim population in America?
And then you got the 200 to 1 Muslims raping and stabbing. And
all right, well, let's play the actual clip to see what Sneako actually was saying in that clip that got everybody saying he needs to be deported. By the way, again, I think that I don't give a shit about all this, like, legalities about birth, citizenship, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying I don't believe in citizenship. I'm just saying, like, well, I mean, if we're going to have a republic, then make a new law that says you can't be a subversive against the Western country's ideas. So if we're gonna have bottom up, well, then we could just pass a law from the bottom up that says we don't want Muslims. So how's that? So here's what Sneako actually said.
Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Oh no! Fuck you! This is the...
There he said it. You're crying because we're victorious. Ha ha ha, fuck you. That's what he said right there.
The Islamic Republic of New Yorkistan. Yeah. Islam will be in every household. Inshallah, the whole world is Muslim. Welcome to Mamdani's New York.
Now, how retarded is this, given that Mamdani is a complete Fabian socialist puppet goober fake who was the day before marching with a bunch of trans goblins?
You see this city? You see how it looks? Inshallah, your city looks just like this too.
See, he's saying we're going to take over. This is what's coming for all of your cities. And he clearly did say, fuck you.
Murdering people all over Europe and running over people with
200 to
cars
1. Even according to Tommy Robinson on the Epstein list, the majority of pedophiles in the UK are white Christians. It's not even the Pakistani grooming gangs.
There are no doubt there are a bunch of pedophiles in the UK.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that
according to Tommy Robinson, it's predominantly white people.
So he's citing British fake Anglican pseudo-Christians because they're a bunch of butt buddies. Oh, that's proof that Christians are a bunch of, quote, Skittles people. Dude, everybody knows that all these Muslim dudes are, a bunch of them are Skittles on the down low. And this is coming from a dude who admittedly experimented to see if he was Skittles. And then didn't it come out he had like Skittles pictures that he was doing Skittles videos or I didn't look into it, but there was a image that popped up of him wearing, I don't know if it was a dress or what it was. But, oh, that was before Islam. That was before Islam. That was before. Yeah, you guys are as dumb as the people that think that Nala Ray is a Christian. Those are grifters, dude.
Little girls up and put them in dog cages.
Okay, before we get all heated, let's talk about what I said. Okay, there's a lot of things and you're spreading a lot of, it seems like you don't really know about Islam. What I said was God.
Okay, see, that's a throwaway line. That's just saying, oh, looks like you don't know. You're like, what does inshallah mean? You sit there, and what we're going to do with this is, Sneako, is we're going to take what you said, we're going to show the Quran, we're going to show the Hadiths, we're going to show.
Yeah, I don't take Andrew Tate to be the most reliable witness, but you guys remember he did say, Sneako was trying to sleep with me. Sneako tried to sleep with me. He was like, oh, I do cock stuff. I'm like, bro, I'm not into that. Right? So even his buddies are all basically saying, no, this dude's weird.
The imams,
absolutely,
top one
show the Quran
on international Islamic TV,
read the Quran.
Saying
read the Quran.
Well, you guys saw, we just read a bunch of the Quran.
You convert, you pay the tax, or we cut your head off.
Okay, sure. There's two things here. So you're afraid of an Islamic takeover of America, right? And you're saying the thing I said, F you. Do you know that I was banned from Australia? The game that I was at, you said this was an Allahu Akbar rally. This was a World Cup game. Egypt was playing Australia. Egypt beat Australia. I'm happy.
So what? What does that have to do with? Oh, so it wasn't an Islamic rally; it was a World Cup game. Well, it might as well have been an Islamic rally because you're celebrating with all the all the Islam bros.
Australia banned me. Do you want to know why, Alex? Similar things that happened to you. Attacks. Australia banned me. They said I was too anti-Semitic and I was too critical of Israel. They listed a bunch of reasons in an email saying that I criticize and that I'm anti-Semitic, and they revoked my visa. So when Egypt beat Australia, I'm like, no. It's too bad because the government applied pressure. The news was all upset. And I have a personal vendetta with that. That's what that was about. I wasn't here trying to threaten you. If you were scared, that wasn't my intention. I wasn't trying to scare you. Second, if you think there's an Islamic takeover of America, what is the majority of the immigration coming in? Because you spent your career talking about globalism. What's the percentage and where is the majority of the immigration in America coming from? Do you know, Alex?
Let me tell you, it's coming from Latin America. And then it is coming from Asia. It's coming from Africa. It's coming from the Middle East. It's coming from India.
The majority is coming from India, from China, and from the southern Mexican border.
Yeah, but Saudi Arabia alone in the last few decades has put multiple billions of dollars into building Islamic centers and mosques all throughout the country. I'm from Tennessee. In the 90s, there were no mosques that I recall, or if there was one, it was tiny in Nashville. Now we have all of that. So the idea that, oh, well, because the number one people group isn't Muslim, that there's not a danger of Islam to the West is retarded. There's multiple dangers to the West. The demographic warfare is not only about Islam. It's about all of these people groups. But a huge monetary side of this is the push for Islam. Look at what's happening in Texas. They're trying to create basically entire Islamic cities in Texas.
India is predominantly Hindu. China is predominantly atheist. And Mexico predominantly Catholic. So if you're afraid of immigration and you want to protect your demographic, then the Catholic invasion coming in from Mexico, that should be your concern. Muslims make up 1.3% of the American population. There's no takeover. Nobody's here trying to usher in Sharia.
There's no takeover. You were just saying there will be a takeover. You were just cheering it on, saying we're going to be in every household in America. And then he's like, there is no takeover. I mean, this guy's just a total liar.
Is convert to Catholicism. You know, India was 3 times the size it is 1,000 years ago, and it was Buddhist and Hindu. Now the biggest subgroup is.
If you look at London, and I've been to London. So Jamie went to London in like 2000, 2003 or 4. She's been a few times. There weren't Muslims everywhere. When you go to London now, I went in 2019. All you see is burqas everywhere, dude. It's crazy.
And you got Kashmir and all those areas of Pakistan used to be India. The Muslims take over everywhere they end up. The Quran is a battle manual.
Yeah, again, it specifically tells them to take over, and it gives them a battle plan to do it. It's not all immediate warfare. It says if you're in the minority, you don't do that. You wait until you are the majority.
How to take over towns, get violent, run everybody out, take over the next town. You denying
you're avoiding the real question. Is there a real threat of Islam?
So I'm going to ask you again. You didn't answer my question. I answered yours.
Well, this is again, spacious line of argumentation, because just because Islam at this moment isn't the immediate numbers threat in terms of immigration, it doesn't follow from that Islam isn't a threat, given the fact that Sneako literally just said we're taking over.
Were the Crusades a response to 700 years of Muslim invasions of Europe?
It was conquest back and forth between different empires.
No, it wasn't conquest.
Again, Muhammad wasn't an empire. Muhammad, even according to his own religion, was not an empire. Muhammad was an unlearned Arab, trader who became a warlord and then started fighting all of the people around him. That's not an empire. So that's not true.
Back and forth. The Eastern Empire of Rome, Constantinople, fell, 600 years ago or whatever. That was Muslims with giant cannons that they bought from Eastern Europe.
This is a false equivalency. There's no caliphate right now. There's no Muslim. What Muslim empire is going to take over America? Where's the caliphate today? Where's the Ottomans? It doesn't exist. You're saying they're going to...
The fact that there's not a caliphate doesn't mean that Islam can't try to take over. That's retarded. There's nothing in the Quran that says, oh, you only take over when you have a caliphate. So again, everything Sneako says is just sneaky word games and playing games.
Let me explain
what
this
flag are they going to stick up your butt?
My family background is Protestants, okay?
Okay.
So on my mom's side of the family, the Greshams, who went back to England and then eventually the stock exchange, a bunch of other stuff, but they were Christians that came over here, and they owned a bunch of stuff and were rich in New York. And they met with Andrew Jackson when he was president down at the Hermitage in Tennessee.
All right.
And he said, I want Western expansion, be after I'm out of office. And he said, I want you to, because you're volunteering, I want the Gresham family to sell your holdings, bring in, they accepted the plan that they came up with. My ancestors engineered the Texas Revolution. Took them 10 years. They came in with 2 ships at Galveston, had shootouts with the Jesuit priests. A bunch of people got killed. One of the ships got taken. The other ship got in. They went up the river to Washington on the Brazos, started bringing in Protestants out of Tennessee, Alabama, and Virginia. Took them 10 years to set up the operations. And then we basically started a fight with their dictator, Santa Anna, a decade later, and launched the war. So that's what these Islamists are too, is they're coming in as the foot soldiers to prepare the way for the takeover. And the government of Islam is Sharia law.
The government of Islam.
Pushing their Sharia law.
Which government?
Dude, is Sneako this stupid? Alex is not saying the official, quote, government out there of Islam. He's saying that when Islam has government control or governance, they enact Sharia law.
That is the governing system.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is Sneako really... it's hard to know if he's just lying and deceptive or if he's actually the stupid.
The Shiites and particularly the Wahhabis, that is 80% of
Those
Islam.
are completely different. Wahhabis and Shias have nothing.
That's what I just said.
So he keeps trying to assume that Alex is going to make some basic mistake. Alex knows that Wahhabists, and because they're Sunni and Shia, are different. He knows that.
I just said.
The Shiites are 19%. So you think Iran?
The Shiites are 19%.
You think Iran is trying to take over America?
The Wahhabist Sunnis are 79%, and then the rest 2% is Alawites and a few other groups. I know all that.
Okay, where is that happening? Where is that spreading in America?
In other groups of Islam. What I'm saying is, in both major branches of Islam, but particularly in Wahhabist, it is the Sharia law down to the local imam that is the governing system of Islam. Okay. So is Iran.
That is correct.
It is the Islamic Republic.
The
rulership is through Sharia.
What is Sharia law? What is Sharia? What does that mean?
Sharia law is the governing system of Islamic control and the 3 forms of jihad.
What does Sharia mean?
Sharia is the Islamic law.
It means law. Sharia means law.
That's what I just said.
That's what he said. What are you talking about?
In Sharia law, if you're a Muslim and you live...
trying to act like I don't know about Islam. I know all about it.
First off, let me explain.
I nailed every one of your little factoids.
No, you didn't, because Sharia law...
Yes, he did. What are you talking about?
Sharia means law. And
what you said.
That's what he said.
Said it's the Islamic law. You just said, Sneako.
Sneako is such a liar, dude. How does anybody follow this guy? This is so insane to me.
When I said it's Islamic law, then I'm wrong. It's bullshit.
Okay, relax, Alex. We're just getting started. Sharia means law. Under Sharia law, Muslims are supposed to follow the law of the land. Nobody here is trying to change the constitution. In fact, it seems like you are, because you...
That's not true. Again, the Islamic battle plan in the Quran is that you are faithful to the laws of the land until you have dominance. Then you take over. Then you institute Sharia law.
We think that I should be deported for exercising my First Amendment rights. We have freedom of religion here.
You are either you're super ignorant.
We have freedom of speech. Under Sharia law, you obey the law.
I got thousands of top imams saying we will make you take Sharia law. I got them at the...
Exactly. They say this all the time. And so Sneako is playing word games like, well, that doesn't mean that we immediately do it, so therefore we don't do that.
State houses in Congress,
where?
Everywhere saying you're going to adopt Sharia law.
Where are you seeing in America? The imams are trying to spread Sharia law in America. Name one.
My God, they have.
Name one imam.
They have it in Detroit. What are you talking about? In Michigan.
Name one imam who's trying to bring Sharia law in America. Where?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Name
I'm
one.
live on your...
Tell me. You said you know 20.
There's entire areas of London like this. In fact, that Rupert Lowe guy just went on Joe Rogan talking about it.
Imams call for Sharia law in America.
You said you know 20,000. Can you tell me an imam who wants to bring Sharia law in America, please?
Durka Muhammad Jihad.
Okay, you just want to just be stupid now because you don't have an answer?
No, I mean, my God. Listen, we're going to take this.
You don't have an answer.
You do it for us. Take this clip and then show them don't go too much. You just have 15 imams say it.
You don't even know one.
City council,
You don't even know one person that's trying to bring Sharia law here. Ron DeSantis parades around, hey, we're banning Sharia law. Texas, we're banning Sharia law. Alex, why do you think they're doing this? Is it because there's an actual threat of an Islamic invasion, even though they're ushering in H-1B visas, even though Elon Musk, who's also calling for my deportation, is bringing in hundreds of thousands of Indians, even though he says that white men are dumb?
So he just keeps deflecting. It's not, these things are not mutually exclusive, right? It's not like because if I'm concerned about Islam, I'm not concerned about the other things, right? It's a false dichotomy. And I've seen countless clips of imams talking about what they're going to do and what they're going to implement. I was hoping I could find one quickly here. Here's let's see, here's one right here.
To safeguard Islam sovereignty and to raise the kalimatullah to make it the highest. The reason why it's not being established is because the weakness of the Muslims. So we have many steps to go.
See that? There's phases and steps, dummies. And Sneako is being a retard and lying as if, well, because we don't have enough power now, we're not looking for that. Yeah, you are, dude. Come on.
He wants to ban Muslims. We will tell him, this isn't your country to ban. This is the land of Allah, as every land is the land of Allah. And there are Muslims here that are going to be here. And if you don't like it, I would suggest he goes somewhere else. But I don't know where he's going to go. If he goes back to Europe, a lot of Muslims in Europe. I've been there recently. You go to Africa, you go to South America, you go to China, you go to Malaysia, you go to Japan, you go to the Antarctic. There's Muslims. So I would make a suggestion. If he wants to go somewhere where there is no Muslims, I suggest he goes to hell.
I wish I could find that Muhammad hijab clip. Let's see if we could try. Let's see. Let's try that. Muhammad. By the way, notice how this shows you that David Wood is a massive liar, because I'm sitting here calling all this stuff out as David Wood says that I work for the Muslims and I try to promote Islam. They're just people. It's so crazy how online people like that just have no shame at all, just totally lying. Like they don't even care. We can't even understand what he's saying, just gibberish. Here's another one.
Legitimate law, legitimate target. Agree or not? Yes? So why, when any non-Islamic system talks about killing others and the international law, this is legitimate and this is fine. When Islam talks about its own version of Islamic law, because it talks about killing and Islam is a terrorist religion. Why? This is double standard. Islam is not a religion. Islam is a system. As the Norwegian system, it is a system. It talks about all aspects of life, including the Norwegian jihad. Yes? The Norwegian has their own version of jihad, which is what? When they can start a fight and when they can end a fight, when they can kill others, etc. This is jihad. Jihad means fight. So there is a Norwegian version of jihad, and there is an Islamic. How to establish Islam in the West. Latest stage of jihad, which is what? قاتلوا المشركين كافة. Okay? اقتلوا المشركين حيث وجدتم.
Notice that? Stages. That's what we've been trying to say. Stages of Islam.
اقتلوا here means fight them. Wherever you find them. Yeah? This latest stage, which is the so-called offensive jihad.
So, the last stage is the offensive jihad. Here's dudes in Chicago saying the same stuff.
And to strive, to struggle in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your wealth and your lives. And that is best for you if only you knew.
And by the way, the Vatican is not going to help you. The Vatican says we worship the same God as the Muslims. The Vatican, Pope Leo said, mosques are holy spaces proper to God. Here's a dude in the downtown Islamic Center in Denver calling for jihad. Where is the Muhammad hijab clip though? That one's golden. If we can find that one. It was a clip of like Muhammad hijab and Jake and Hakikachu was in there, I think. Does anybody have that clip? Somebody send me that clip if you can find it, because that one's a classic.
And they know that with the Democrat socialists to be able to dominate, and I can play you thousands of imams in Dearborn, Michigan, and Houston, Texas, and everywhere else in Plano, Texas, saying we're taking over. Everybody sees those videos, buddy. Just like when you said we're taking over, and now you're in the, oh, I'm a victim. Come on, you're being mean to us.
I didn't say that.
You have been a victim of the neocons in Israel, okay? And that's
yeah,
wrong.
and if Elon Musk, the globalist that you're allying with, who's bringing in H-1B, is the richest man in the world.
I like the fact that he's pro-free speech. I don't agree with everything Elon Musk does.
You don't want free speech if you want me deported for using my free speech. Actually, you're against it.
You go back.
It sounds like you were demonizing Black Lives Matter. You kind of sound like a woke liberal.
Said that I want to
you kind of sound like a woke liberal with the woke mind virus if you want me deported for using my free speech.
Yeah, I responded to that.
Yeah, because you're actually using the strongest form of censorship if now the richest man in the world is saying that I should be deported for free speech, especially when he's an African migrant. So if you actually want to protect it,
listen, what we're saying is...
If you ask me a question, why did I say this? You asked me a question, why did I say that?
Dude, we know your plan.
You asked me a question.
Your Quran, and I'm telling you, you're going to lose. Okay?
You asked me a question. No one here, this is the side...
Sneako's not smart enough to actually critique classical liberalism. If he really wanted to have a good argument against Alex, he would critique classical liberalism, but he's not smart enough to do that, which makes this kind of funny.
Yeah, this is what they plan to do, is pin the Christians and Muslims against each other so that they can repeat their endless wars.
No, that's not true. In fact, many rabbis say that Islam is the broom of Judaism. So Sneako is a total idiot.
It worked before. Don't let it work again, Alex. If you're opposing the Iran war.
No, I'm not supporting Israel and going to war for them.
No, you are supporting Israel. You are supporting Israel.
With you.
No, so notice this is Sneako using false dialectics. If you don't support us, then you're with Israel. No, I can disagree with rabbinic theology, Zionism, and Islam. I don't have to choose a false dialect. I don't have to choose between Tony Soprano and the Five Families. I could say, no, I don't want either one of them.
Democrat, Socialist, and Black Lives Matter that you supported and all the stuff that went on in
you're
this
the woke
country.
liberal trying to get me censored. If you said...
By the way, he did, again, Sneako's flip-flopped. I mean, what's Sneako going to be next year? How long until Sneako turns into some libtard, by the way?
Seen you say, if we were going to be violent...
I saw you say that they're crisis actors in Sandy Hook, and look what happened. If you want to do ad homs...
Why are you lying in the chat? When was I for Israel? Unless you're making a joke. So you guys are just such liars. Like, everybody comes into chat with all of these lies. When I literally just said, I don't support Israel or Hamas or the Muslims. I don't support any of them. Why is Dyer for Israel? He's a Zionist. Just lie. Why is everybody just totally lying now on the internet? It's like now it's acceptable to just lie like crazy. Just fucking lie all the time, nonstop. You have no conscience or qualms about just literally just lying. People still say I don't talk about Zionism and Jews enough. Dude, all fucking week I've talked about the Rothschilds nonstop. What are you talking about?
Let's stay
Oh
on
my
point.
God, Sandy Hook. Oh God, you
Let's
got me.
stay on
Boy,
point.
a Democrat
Let's stay on
talking
point. I went
How
home from school
devastating.
that day, actually, because you're talking about my childhood. You said, why did I say?
Did I hurt you as a little baby?
You said, why did I say, if God wills
Am I
it?
a bad man? I hurt you?
Okay,
Did
Alex.
I do something to your poopy?
Well, no, you got the trillionaire to try to put a target in my head. So yeah, well done.
Oh my.
Do something to your poopy. Now he's trying to play a victim. Like, because Elon said he should be deported. Oh, I'm a victim. They're trying to kill me. What are you talking about?
Well done.
Goodness,
Well
you're
done.
just showing your teeth,
Well done.
throat slitting, and
Well, they don't
taking
cry about
over.
white genocide. Don't cry
no,
about.
No, I'm your friend. Hey, the Quran isn't a battle manual to take over. Come on, there's no imam saying that.
I don't want to hear
There's
you cry
nothing
about your
going on. There's
demographic
no
replacement.
jihadis.
Oh no, America's getting
Oh,
destroyed.
no.
Oh no, the
we
globalists
don't
are
do
taking
anything.
over.
We
Oh
don't wanna
no,
take over.
America.
See, now he's showing his true colors. He thinks it's funny. He thinks it's funny that America is being demolished with all of these horrible leftist policies and open border type stuff. Now he's laughing about it. He thinks it's funny. Showing his true colors. Remember at the beginning, he was like, I care about you. I want you to be having the true knowledge of Allah. I love you guys. I care. But now he's like, haha, you're getting fucked over. You're getting destroyed. He thinks it's funny with his stupid ass dumb face and his giant mouth.
America's
We
getting
don't believe it's
replaced.
our world right to dominate the planet. No.
Oh no, the West is getting taken
we're
over.
your
Oh no,
friends.
there's
we're so
immigrants
nice.
here.
Oh,
Oh no,
Islam
immigrants are
people
here from the
lost
wars that I
against Europe, take over
caused.
Spain for 700 years.
Immigrants come in from the
all
wars I
movies
caused.
in Hollywood allied with you. Oh, the Crusades just attacked the poor little Muslims.
I didn't
for
say-
no
I didn't
reason.
say any of
They all
that.
started
You're arguing
1300
with your own
above
head,
Hollywood.
Alex.
I
You're
said
going
Hollywood.
delusional.
I said Hollywood does that. I just said Hollywood does that. I didn't say
You said
Sneako,
Chi-Coms control
Sneako.
Hollywood. Didn't you say the Chi-Coms control Hollywood and not Jewish supremacists?
No, what I said in the full clip was I read a Wall Street Journal article about how China was like
The Jews sold several studios to China. That's actually what happened, and that's what Alex was talking about.
10 biggest Hollywood production companies had bought a controlling interest in 6 and China admits they're funding a lot of the anti-Western, anti-white propaganda. China is heavily allied with Hollywood and they're anti-American.
China's allied with Hollywood. This is why.
That's actually true. So it's not an either or. I mean, Hollywood did its job. So the Jews were like, oh, we could sell some of this stuff now. China in 2016 was actively buying up multiple production houses, studios, AMC movie theater chains, etc. So it's not false. Okay, Sneako is being dishonest because he's going from the people that were attacking Alex at the time saying, Alex won't talk about Jewish Hollywood, he'll only talk about China. Alex was reading the article that they were purchasing it from, obviously from them.
Demographics are
China's not
changing.
involved in the university.
This is why the West is getting
China's
replaced.
not involved in Hollywood. China doesn't control and own big parts of Hollywood.
Yeah,
Alex Jones
the
just
Chinese.
China doesn't.
So we just saw that Sneako is 100% wrong. That's actually true.
Are you kidding
The
me?
Chinese. I mean, this is why the West is changing, because when you spread these lies that the Chinese control Hollywood, people get confused.
No, they don't control it. They bought several of the major powerhouse studios, production houses, etc. That's what he said.
And you mix the truth with
Hey,
lies.
Sneako.
You say some things
Sneako.
that are true and say 10 lies.
That's an old white supremacist attack on me that I cover China. I mean, look at brain dead Mitch McConnell and his wife flees to China, who's a known Chi-Com agent. And you look at Fang Fang and Swallowswell and all the Chinese
You're
spies.
going on.
So again, all foreign nations engage in foreign espionage operations, and China has for many, many decades been buying up large areas of American industry and strategic corporation stuff. In fact, a lot of our industry was intentionally designed to be shipped off to China. And actually, the Rothschilds had a role in that. There's a book about this, about the fact that the Rothschilds have played a key role in helping to set up Walmart, getting all of that cheap product and cheap labor from China. I forget the name of that book, but it was put out many years ago by the Spotlight, which was Jim Tucker's thing that exposed Bilderberg for forever. Well, they published Michael Collins Piper's book on the role of Israel and JFK called Final Judgment. They also put out a book about the Rothschilds' role in Walmart and China. So these things are not antithetical. People think that if you talk about China, well, that's automatically, well, did you know Israel has sold America's secrets to China? So a lot of these things overlap.
And just again,
Are you saying China geopolitically is not our main military adversary? It's not the main spy force?
I didn't say that. I said China does not predominantly control Hollywood. I didn't say anything.
So again, that's why it's more complex than that. So they already admitted earlier in the debate that one of the largest groups coming into America is China, right? In terms of migrants. If you go to Houston, this is crazy. I remember the first time we went to Houston for the Sophia conference, Orthodox conference in 20, I think it was 19 or 20. I don't know that I've ever been to Houston before. And the conference is very close to what is far greater than Chinatown. I don't even know what you would call it. It's China County, basically. There are entire mile-long sections of gigantic business districts within Houston. You will not see English on the billboards. You will see Cantonese, you'll see Chinese billboards. You'll go for miles and you won't see anything but Chinese. And I remember I was mystified by this. I was like, what is it? I've never even seen it. I mean, I've been to LA and San Francisco. I've been to Chinatown, but I've never seen this. This is like China County, dude. The number one largest migration is at one point back in 2020 or so was Chinese, and probably India now. And the number one area is Houston. So they're basically setting up a China in Houston. And to talk about that, oh, you're covering up for Jews. You covering up for Jews because you mentioned China.
I'm going to say this very slowly to you.
You said two separate
I'm going to say this very slowly. Wall Street Journal, like 15 years ago, did an article about how China bought a controlling interest of 6 of the.
Yeah, we literally just watched the video version of that article. So Alex is correct.
10 top Hollywood production companies. I didn't say they were the producers. I didn't say that they were the directors. That's mainly Jews. And I said that in the full show.
So
just like I did an hour on atrazine with scientific studies and clips, and then said, I don't want them putting chemicals in the water, turn the freaking frogs gay. The media only showed that 10-second clip, not me showing all the studies. And of course, I was proven right.
Yeah, kind of like you when you clip up everything and try to make me sound.
Are you saying China does not have a controlling interest? I don't know what it is now, in a lot of U.S. media?
Of course, but it's predominantly Jewish supremacists, and you're messing up the conversation by redirecting it towards.
Well, now you notice Sneako just moved the goalposts, because now it's moved away from whether it was the case to who's predominantly running these things. So at first it started out that Alex was reading an article and he mentioned that they bought up a bunch of the studios, which we saw is true. And now Sneako's just purity spiraling and saying, well, but you won't say that the Jews are basically doing it all.
Simply talk about the anti-Western, anti-white, anti-Christian.
If you want to protect this country, then talk about the main issue, Alex. Don't just get it twisted with a bunch of nonsense.
You're doing like Dan Bilzerian did, saying Nick Fuentes doesn't go on Piers Morgan and big shows talk about Israel when he does. That's just not true. That's this thing of, I talk more about Israel than you do. No, Yeah,
well, and by the way, Nick did the same thing to me, where it was like, oh, you don't actually talk about this enough. And it's like, well, Nick, now you're literally saying all the stuff that I said. So all the criticisms that Nick had of me like 2 years ago, a year ago, basically Nick says all the same positions that I say now. So I was correct.
Just talk about all the major power blocks in the world. That's what I do.
And you're confusing people when you say globalist.
Anybody watching can type in Chinese interest in Hollywood production companies, China funding anti-American stuff, China taking over U.S. universities via the Confucius Institutes. That's a whole other subject. China putting kill switches in U.S. computers.
It's a whole other subject. Let's stick to the main subject that's destroying our country.
You created a straw man that I said China controls Hollywood. I
didn't say straw man. I said that you're confusing the conversation. You're just making people focus on things.
He said, I didn't say straw man. Obviously, you're not going to say straw man, you idiot, when you're going to be cunning and use deception. Alex said you engaged in a fallacy. But again, Sneako doesn't even know what fallacies are. So even Alex just knowing like a couple fallacies has allowed him to completely, so far, dominate Sneako in this debate.
Things that are not extremely important. The most important issue.
No, I didn't bring up China in this conversation. You just did.
You brought up a million things in 5 seconds because you don't want to stick to one topic because you just want to misdirect the entire time.
You're not controlling the debate is what's happening here.
Well, the debate is about you calling for my deportation. The debate is about you call for my deportation.
By the way, reminder, according to Orthodox Muslim, he says he can arrange me to debate him on Sneako's thing, wherever Sneako does his stuff. I don't know where, but so that might happen next week. I don't even know if this guy actually knows Sneako or not. It could just be, who knows, but he said he wants to debate Trinity in the Old Testament and Messianic prophecies. And I'm like, you want to debate our position? I mean, this will be a first. Muslims never want to debate our positions. They always want to debate Quran, Bible contradiction. So I don't know why he would accept that debate. Maybe he's just needing some attention. But we all remember the last time I debated on Sneako's channel Remember what happened? Andrew came in. They got mad. Andrew made jokes about Muhammad's stuff, his weenus. They got mad. They booted him. They asked me to come on and do the rest of the debate. And it was pretty much seems like the end of Muslim Lantern's debating career. He was a rising Dawa hot star. I haven't heard hide nor hair of Muslim Lantern since that debate. I don't know where he's at. Maybe he's still doing stuff and I just don't see it. But I noticed that outside of my platforms, that debate has disappeared. I don't think it's on Grumble anymore. I don't think it's on whatever other, like, they got rid of it because if you guys remember when they did the poll, which was not just for Orthodox, they did a poll and it was like 65, 30, 30, 60, 30, 60, 40 saying that Muslim Lantern got demolished. And that was on Sneako's channel. Remember that? I mean, I had it on my channel too, because I was like, I'm not trusting you guys. So I'm gonna dual stream this if we're gonna do this debate. I don't trust y'all at all. And I don't think it exists on their channels anymore. I wonder why. By the way, that debate is still accessible on my channel, and I reshared it on X. If you scroll down, here's one version of it that's an hour and 16. This is my version of it. Here's another version of it that's an hour and a half. That might be mine too. This is something that somebody clipped from, I think from Sneako's version of it on his channel. So there's multiple clips and versions of this. And, but I don't think the full 3-4 hours that had Andrew is even on their Grumble page anymore. It may be, and I just couldn't find it. But anyway.
Worked with Hitler. The Zionists worked with Hitler to not let any Jews get out that wouldn't give them part of the money. The Zionists and give the rest to Hitler. Madeleine Albright's dad was one of the main guys that ran it. George Soros was a low-level guy.
Man, he has the most annoying, condescending smirk. Can you just look at every time Al starts talking, he's got this like condescending smirk because he knows he doesn't know any of the history because he's an idiot, but he's just waiting for like a way to like be tricky and sneaky.
Went around finding hidden Jews to get their money. And they worked with Hitler to only let Jews get out to what was going to become Israel. And Israel hired top SS officers to set up the Mossad. And they hired top Nazi assassins to set up the Mossad.
And that's true. That's Otto Skorzeny and Reinhard Gehlen. That's absolutely true.
And they never really hunted down Nazis, just like the U.S. government shipped them over here. And then Israel blew up synagogues all over Spain and all over the Middle East to blame it on Muslims to then get Jews to immigrate to Israel. And Israel founded and created Hamas. And Israel works with Al-Qaeda and gave them field hospitals. And so see, that what I'm saying is secretly behind the evil scenes, you've got Islam working with Israel in a big sick plan.
Islam's working with Israel?
Yes, Islam in various branches does work with Israel, you goober.
Yeah, not Iran.
Islam's working with Israel.
Definitely Saudi Arabia.
I'm not trying to get a clip. Are you saying Islam
definitely UAE? Yeah, you didn't
Islam
know that?
works with Israel.
Yeah, many of those countries are openly in league with Israel, you goober.
The UAE is not representative of Islam. The UAE is not the caliphate.
Israel?
Yeah, he's talking about Islamic countries and sectors of Islam, not the entire religion. But by the way, the entire religion, according to many of the rabbis, is absolutely a version of Judaism. They call it the broom of Judaism. And we played that clip many times, countless rabbis saying they have no problem with Islam in terms of the way that it affects the Western countries, especially the Christian countries. Doesn't mean that they like it or that they're totally on board with it, but they don't have a problem with it going forth and screwing up who they perceive to be the enemy, Christianity or Rome or Edom.
Back Al-Qaeda in Syria.
Islam is not working with Israel. Islam is a...
Again, sectors of Islam are absolutely in league with Israel. Countless Mossad heads. Netanyahu himself has talked about funding and aiding Hamas. They've talked about funding ISIS. We all know Timber Sycamore was just declassified. That was the CIA and Mossad co-plan working together with not just Islam, but also the Muslim Brotherhood and all types of sects to overthrow Assad. Timber Sycamore. I was writing about Timber Sycamore before we knew the name of it because it wasn't declassified what the name was, but it was obvious that it was going on. Here's the New York Times. $1 billion program to overthrow Assad using ISIS together, CIA and Mossad. We already covered Viktor Ostrovsky's books. Viktor Ostrovsky, former Mossad, wrote 2 books, By Way of Deception, and then I forget the name of the other one, something about war, where he says, of course we fund the Muslim Brotherhood. Of course we fund ISIS and Al-Qaeda, because they destabilize our surrounding peoples. He says we would prefer a destabilized series of neighbors that we can control and manage the chaos versus surrounding Islamic countries rising up and being a significant challenge. It also gives, as we said with John Kiriakou when we did that interview, I said, John, you've been in the Middle East, you understand the situation. Is it accurate to say that Israel prefers destabilized groups around them because it also gives them a victim status that they can say, look, we're surrounded by enemies, give us everything? And he said, of course. We've covered this a zillion times, but you don't talk about Zionism and you won't talk about, dude, I'm the person that was talking about Mossad books before anyone else was. I was reading Mossad books before any of these people were.
Religion. The people make mistakes. The leadership has clearly betrayed the Ummah. We agree. We know. But don't misconstrue.
Oh, so now it's, some of the Islamic leaders have betrayed Islam and they're working with Mossad in the West. Yeah, sure.
It and say that these are the people that are taking, this is the government of Islam when they don't follow Sharia law.
Didn't it just come out recently that Netanyahu was sending money to Qatar? So when they say you're a Qatari agent, if you critique Israel, the irony is that no, actually Netanyahu had a secret deal with Qatar. That's what's funny about this.
The UAE, they have casinos in Dubai.
Sharia is the governance of Islam. You said I was wrong. You just said it yourself.
The UAE is the governance of Islam?
No, I just said Sharia.
Syria?
Sneaky.
Sharia. I kind of starting to think that he might just actually be kind of retarded. I mean, he's either intentionally, constantly misunderstanding and misconstruing, or he's actually just kind of dumb.
Sharia is the. I know. You think you're. What
government are you? Okay, so you're afraid of Sharia law. What government is practicing Sharia law that's threatening America?
I said that's the governance of Islam is Sharia.
Right. What country is threatening America with this?
Oh my God!
It doesn't have to be a country. It's the ideology of Islam itself that is the problem, not a country.
In Austin, they handed out Qurans and had little girls wear hijabs without parents knowing and said you need to adopt Sharia.
Handing out Qurans is a.
They're the city councils trying to get Sharia. They have their own police forces in Michigan that were popping up saying Sharia. You said don't tell your story. I'm going to tell it. My wife was at HEB at like 9 o'clock at night a couple months ago, and a Muslim in a nightgown, wearing the traditional outfit, comes up and says, "You should not be out at night. You could get," and like got in her face and was yelling at my wife. I mean, I can show you 100 videos in the UK where they're bitching and saying, don't bring your dog to the park. And the liberals go, yes, we need to ban dogs. The Muslims don't like you. I don't trust anybody who doesn't like dogs. Sneako, what do you think of dogs?
I like dogs. Like, Alex, do you want to have
then you're not a good Muslim.
The whole point of this conversation was that
you were violating what Muhammad said. Unless a dog is used for sheep herding, it is not halal. It is bad. I want you to reject Islam right now. I want you to get a nice French bulldog.
Okay. You can have a dog. It just doesn't need to be in the house licking your face in your bed. Just keep it outside. You can have a dog. If you want to know about Islam. The whole point of this,
I just told you I know about Islam.
Okay,
I just said.
This is kind of, I mean, what did you?
And here's one of those examples, as I mentioned. This is former Mossad head right here talking about supporting radical Islam to overthrow Assad.
Has been treating wounded Syrian rebel fighters in its hospitals on the border, including fighters from Nusra Front.
Aiding them, I should say here.
Al-Qaeda proxy in Syria. Do those reports worry you that Israel's helping wounded Al-Qaeda aligned fighters?
As I said before, in a different context, it's always useful also to deal with your enemies in a humane way. And I think that when you have people who are wounded and you can deal with them in a humane way, the considerations as to whether to take them in are not simply whether it's politically useful or whether it's politically
So it's purely humanitarian, you say. So there's no tactical or political strategic...
I didn't say there's no tactical. I said the main consideration, the immediate consideration is humane.
But the tactical issues involved, I mean, you know better than me the phrase blowback. You don't think there's going to be blowback against Israel if you get into bed with a group like Nusra Front?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be blowback.
Why?
Because I think that, unfortunately, the rules of the game in Syria are such that you can do anything that is not possible to be done anywhere else.
Yeah, I think people said that in Afghanistan too. Would you also treat Hezbollah fighters?
No.
So there you go. Another example. There's many. You just go watch if you don't want to read Victor Ostrovsky's book, just listen to his talk on C-SPAN on YouTube.
Saying Joe Rogan, I'm kind of retarded. Like, this is kind of retarded right now.
No, that was me quoting Socrates. Was it Aristotle? I know that I know nothing.
Okay. We're going all over the place. The whole point of this was that you called for my deportation because you're upset about what I said. And you asked a question and you went on a million tangents. You said, why did you say that you want people to become Muslim? For the same reason you say every knee will bow, every tongue confess. You want people to have goodness. I don't want to force anybody. I don't want to spread it by the sword.
You said every...
Now he's changed it from whether Islam teaches these stages of conversion and forced conversion, etc., and the jizya and all that. Now Sneako again moved the goalpost to say, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. That's not... The question is, does your religion teach that? You're supposed to. And you said in your video, we are going to take over. So he's just a total liar.
Else will be under this.
Inshallah. Inshallah. God willing, people will know the truth. This is the same statement.
I like you. You have big balls.
Throw the freaking frogs, gay.
That's from Team America. Because I saw him drop fire on my goats. That's when I knew I'd do a jihad on their ass.
I mean, like, do you be real for a second? I mean, you're a funny guy. Do you want to make a change? Like, do you want to use your platform for good?
I think I'm gonna be like Muhammad and have 30 black dudes ride me.
You don't even know what you're talking about if you want to make stupid insults. This is like saying that the Holy Spirit was gonna astaghfirullah come on the Virgin Mary because you don't know how to translate or read it properly. You said it, you read it twice. You don't know anything about Islam, bro. You didn't know what jihad meant. I'll tell you about it if you want to know. Did you know that?
No, he actually did. He just used the third stage of jihad, and because it didn't explain all the stages of jihad, Sneako's acting like you don't even know what jihad is. No, actually, you don't. I actually think probably Sneako doesn't know.
Oh, so under Islam,
did you know that Jesus was
does
Messiah?
It say in the writings that if you are a herder and there is no woman, you may take a sheep or a boy? Do they have the thing of the dancing boys in Islam?
You read the Quran on Facebook from Boomer Slop that programs evangelicals.
Boomer Slop.
Boomer Slop. Yeah, the boomers that are in mega churches saying God bless
those.
Did the
CIA did the mayors put all these mayors in Afghanistan?
You can interrupt me the whole time. You can interrupt me the whole time. This is the same Boomer Slop that convinces Americans that convinces Americans that God must bless those that bless the state of Israel. This is what Mike Huckabee is saying. They're saying,
Alex actually doesn't believe that and didn't make that argument. So this is a genetic fallacy. So even if Alex got this argument from evangelicals or from Boomer Slot memes, which I don't think that he did, but even if he did, that wouldn't mean that the argument's false. So again, Sneako is just a fallacy factor. He's like a machine gun of fallacies. Has no idea what he's talking about. The question is, yeah, but is this actually in the Quran or in the Hadiths? Not what's the source of it, Boomer Slop.
I don't believe that. That's not the Bible.
Ted Cruz is posting about the IDF on July 4th. Clearly, the influence is coming from one place.
Clearly, Netanyahu and all of them said in Huckabee that we owe Israel our existence, and all that's not true. I've covered it all.
Okay, and the American government, people.
So, and again, these are all deflections because even if Alex was a Zio freak, like what would that have to do with the argument about what's in the Quran? I mean, David Wood is an insane Zio freak, but David Wood makes many arguments that are true against Islam, against the Quran. So the other positions that you hold have nothing to do with whether the argument at the point that you're making right now, whether it's true or false. So this is, again, and if you've done 10 years of debates with Muslims like we have almost, you notice that this is all they ever do is this very low tier deflecting into just constant genetic fallacies, constant either ors, constant non sequiturs, constant tu quoques. They just cannot do basic argumentation. I'm trying to think of any Muslims that can even, like, maybe Jake can at least understand and recognize fallacies. I'm not saying Jake is that great of a debater, but he's probably their best. He's better than Hikichu, because even Hikichu can't even like recognize fallacies and at least try to avoid them.
Like Randy Feiner saying ban Islam. Laura Loomer Jigsaw, this lady is saying ban Islam. Why are
I heard you and Laura.
What does that have to do with whether, again, genetic fallacies? The fact that Laura Loomer is an insane Zionist has nothing to do with whether the arguments are true or false.
Laura Loomer, I heard you and Laura Loomer might be dating soon.
There's no way you're even a serious person. Like, did you? Would you?
I like that the way Alex handles this is to just constantly throw in like trolling jokes, right? Because it's not a serious debate.
Oh, I'm not a serious person?
You do it. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Look, I don't know if Logan was... That has aura. That has aura. Become Muslim. Abdul Alex Jones. Inshallah, Alex Jones is Muslim.
Will you wear the burqa again? I saw you in that latest video where you're like wearing it like a woman.
It's a scarf. It's a scarf. It's wearing it like a woman. It's not a hijab. Also, how do nuns dress? You're like insulting the hijab. Trump is posting kindergarten girls.
Those are women that are chastened that have decided to go into that life.
Yeah. So are the hijabi girls.
Oh, they want to. Oh, so in Saudi Arabia, women don't have to wear the hijabs?
Yeah.
Well, since the crown prince started reform.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a choice.
Yeah.
So no, wait a minute. So now it is a choice. But so are you saying that Saudi Arabia was wrong when it wasn't a choice, but now it is a choice, so therefore it's good? I mean, it just shows you how silly this is. And by the way, great video on an angle that most people miss in terms of refuting Islam. Is our buddy Kyle did an interview with our other buddy Kai from Orthodox Shahada. And Kai had a phase when he was in college where he got really interested in Islam. And he studied it, and, you know, I don't remember for how long, a couple of years, something like that. And he went to mosque for a while. And then he said the thing that started to bug him was not even so much like all the theological contradictions or problems, but he noticed that when you're actually applying Islam to Islamic people's lives, there's all of these different rulings. So it's the fiqh, which is the rulings in the legal side of Islam, which are always contradictory, because you could have one school of Islamic ruling giving one thing that you do in prayer, and then another school over here says something totally contradictory. So if Allah wants unanimity and it's all about Allah and all of Islam being one, why would they be so divided on basic principles of practice? Now, a dumb Muslim's going to be like, well, Christians are divided. Well, we don't make the claim that all of Christianity, quote unquote, is valid and it's all one. We think that there's tons of sects, sectarians, and groups. But Islam makes the claim that it is specifically and especially one in a way that somehow proves Islam. Oh, but you see, we are one. We have this unity that no one else possesses, and this is one of the strengths of Islam. Well, if you listen to Kai's own personal experience and why he saw Islam as having really just a surface level appeal, and then it also has a massive amount of turnover. People don't realize that a lot of the people that convert to Islam, they only last 1 to 2 years because they actually see what it's like and they realize that it's ridiculous. So I'll play real quickly here this argument that convinced Kai to leave.
Of epistemology. None of these schools have a way of standardizing or demonstrating how these principles are to be used in an absolute sense.
He's talking about the principles of the rulings on ethical or worship practices.
Which principles and when and in what way are they to be applied in order to get you legal rulings? And so then what ends up happening here is this is all just guesswork. The different schools are in effect different epistemologies, different epistemic frameworks. And the reason why you have a proliferation of the different schools is because not any one of them can demonstrate their epistemic framework as being superior. They can believe that it is superior to the other ones, but they can't actually demonstrate it. And that's a problem. And that's a problem because Islam is supposed to be a divinely revealed religion. And if it's a divinely revealed religion, you should know what the principles are to arrive at legal rulings and how the whole system functions so that you don't end up with competing rulings that contradict each other. And so when I engage the local imam at the mosque and I say this and this and this and this and this and this, and the response is, don't ask too many questions. These are advanced topics. We're not going to get into this. And so I started seeing there's actually an aversion to want to talk about this stuff, to engage in these topics. And these are people who are sheikhs imams. They're leaders of the community. They're the ones who are giving classes to teach the faith. They're the ones who are giving the Friday congregational prayer sermons. These are like the pillars of the community that they don't want to talk about their faith in a detailed way. They want everybody to just basically stay at a very dumb, uneducated level.
And that's true too. We saw in some of the debates when I would get into the nuances of Islamic theology, metaphysics, particularly debates on the attributes of Allah, that kind of stuff. You'll eventually get to a point in Islamic theological writings where you say, you are not permitted to ask questions beyond this point. What about the, for example, the question of there's nothing in creation that bears any similarity to Allah. And then you have the problem of the Quran being created and using words, which are creatures, to name Allah. And then it's like, well, how do we name Allah with created phrases and terms and concepts, but no creature bears any resemblance at all to Allah? And eventually you get to the point where many of the, imams and theologians have said, it is not permitted to ask question beyond this point. Do not ask.
They choose to wear it. It's not a trash bag that they force people to wear. Women can choose to dress modestly.
That's not true. Again, Sneako's lying because he just admitted that the law changed. So even according to what he's arguing in Saudi Arabia, it wasn't prior to the recent reform optional. It was mandatory. And now he's acting like because the law in Saudi Arabia changed that, well, see, it's not mandatory, but it was before that, you idiot.
Mom, her word isn't taken as half of that as a man.
Her word is not taken half of what you want to be.
A woman's word in court is taken as half as strong as a man's.
Well, I mean, look at the West. You're complaining about the demographics being changed. Happy wife, happy life. How's that going? What's your birth rate looking like?
That's a tu quoque because Alex made a specific point about in fiqh, in legal rulings that we just talked about with Kai, that Islam is kind of, again, all over the place. It's crazy. So I don't think Alex I'm not dissing Alex. I'm saying I don't think he's aware of the fact that there's actually not one type of Islamic ruling. Just like they have many akidas or schools of theology, they also have many schools of jurisprudence. And so it's an overlooked problem in Islam because if Allah wants everybody to be one, how come they can't have basic ideas about, for example, well, what counts as being shirk? What counts as idolatry? Muslims kill each other over this point, and they're supposed to be united. But as you guys know, Salafis believe Allah has a body. Allah has a shin. Allah laughs. And then you've got other Sunnis who think that that is shirk. That's idolatry because it's violating the principle that there's nothing that's in the created order that's like Allah. Well, creation is defined by being a body, something extended in space. How can Allah have a body if Allah is not like creation? It's just stupid, right? It's the stuff that we've seen Jake and people argue forever. So they kill each other over these rulings, but then they act like, to dumb Westerners, we are united. We have the one faith. We are all on the same page. We are together.
How's feminism? How's liberalism going on? You want to protect America? How's that going for the white race right now?
You got the liberal women.
So now, again, it's Sneako's exposing that he actually does really hate people in the West, and he hates the country, and he hates white Christians, etc. Which he says earlier that, oh, he loves them. I love you. I want you to believe and know the truth. And now he's laughing and smirking about the devastation of liberalism in the West.
Supporting you.
Yeah, but how's that going for you? Because you hate Islam so much. Like, we could have 4 wives. The women are beneath the man. Well, not beneath, but the man is the leader.
Hey, don't worry.
The man is the leader in Islam in a marriage. The man leads.
Liberal women start squirting when they hear you say they're beneath them. They love being cut by you. They're just, here's the thing. The West has been too nice to women to the extreme. So
yeah, but you have no solution. But you have no solution to it.
Actually, Sneako has a point here, though, which is that, again, classical liberalism is not going to be a solution. There's no solution in classical liberalism here. So, I mean, I'm not saying I agree with Sneako's Islam, but Sneako's not even smart enough to know that he could actually critique Alex's classical liberalism here.
Tell the white liberal blue-haired women, tell them you're beneath me, and they're just going to have orgasms, just go, oh, God, yeah.
Like Blair White. Like, look, you have no solution to it. I mean, you're afraid of the hijab so much, but your birth rate's declining. Feminism's everywhere. There's more atheists than Christians in America. You don't practice any Christian values.
Yeah, by the way, Sneako, even according to you, who are the people groups that have primarily promoted all these things you're bitching about? It's not Christians. Maybe people like the Rothschilds, like they're behind a lot of this. So the very thing that you were critiquing earlier is actually the source of the stuff that you're bitching about right now, but you're actually blaming Western Christians, right? And to a degree, actually evangelical Protestant people do share in that blame. So, this is the point where I think Alex in this discussion there's a weak point in classical liberal Protestant ideology here.
I got 4 children, and okay, I think I'm gonna have probably 4 more. So don't worry.
That's great. Most of them don't, because liberalism is rampant. Because you guys are so afraid of Islam.
Yeah, well, I mean, I live by what I say. In fact, that's it. I'm having at least 10 more. But I admire Elon having 100 kids.
The majority of Western people that follow you and the majority of the people that are afraid of Islam, they don't. Conservative values are decaying everywhere.
Yeah, because they're too busy watching football and living in their own world. Please don't equate.
Yeah, but again, that's also the Protestant liberal ethos and the classical liberal Enlightenment ethos. So, although obviously Sneako is not winning this debate, on this point of classical liberalism, he gets an accidental point because, again, he's not smart enough to actually know what he's critiquing.
The average, brain dead Westerner, what color they are, with me.
Okay, so what's the solution? Because Sharia law you're so afraid of, how are you going to...
By the way, that's a great point in the chat. I mean, Sneako is totally a Westerner. I mean, Sneako literally has adopted every couple of years a different position, a different trend that he rides. So you're literally the most Western consumerist in your approach to these questions, Sneako.
Solve this birth rate.
Man, all I know is I've been to Europe, I've been to London, I've been all over, and I've seen how the Muslims behave. I mean, I remember going to London like 20 years ago. I've been there before that. And I would just be shooting video of Big Ben, and Muslims would walk by and say, "You don't video me, you blah, blah, blah." And as soon as I went, "F you," they were used to, cut British bowing down. They go, "Oh, God." And so...
You had no answer to what I said. I asked you, how are you going to solve the birth rate problem? And you just have no answer.
No, the answer is the great part is liberal leftists aren't having kids.
Oh, wait, again, reminder to you guys, if you're in the audience, I will be at DebateCon, July 25, 26. That is right here. You can use the promo code 20 from Jay to get 20% off. If you want to come to see me debate 2 Muslims, I'll be debating Naeem. Turns out he's the guy who actually called in. I didn't realize that, but he had called in, and he's the guy that believes that God the Father has a body. Now, he's not a Salafi like Jake because he believes in Quran only. So he's a kuffar from their perspective. And he thinks that God has a body, a very toned body. He looks good. So that will be one debate. And then I'll be debating Jake on whether Islam or Christianity is better for civilization.